Hey guys, what's up? Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it.
Please like, subscribe, share with your mates, and enjoy the episode.
And we're back, Christian, for another episode. I think this is episode 41, or maybe 42. I can't remember. Is 41?
41.
40 freaking 1. This episode, we are filming this on a Saturday. So usually we film this on a Tuesday. So this is roughly nearly like 5 days after our usual filming date. So it does feel like it's been a while. So I do feel a bit rusty. But it's been a while, Christian. It's been nearly 2 weeks since we've talked. And that's like the longest we've gone without talking for like the past year.
It's true. It did feel kind of weird having like more than a week off. Hey, I didn't think about it like that until you just mentioned it now. Look at that. There you go. Yeah, but Saturday night. The reason why is because work got a little bit busy, so I had to stay back a little bit. It got pushed back. But yeah, today is Saturday, 3rd of July. And the reason why we're filming this on a Saturday night is because A, we have nothing else better to do, and B, because it is another Sydney lockdown. Another Sydney lockdown in New South Wales, and we're back to square one again. Back to square one. Can't go anywhere. We're restricted to the enclosements of our houses. It is what it is. Can't do anything. What are your thoughts on the second lockdown? This is like, because the cases aren't going up. The cases aren't going down either. They're staying the same every day, and don't think it'll be ending next week. But what are your thoughts?
Oh, so my thoughts is either one, this is going to be one of the many small lockdowns and it'll just go back to normal soon. Or two, for whatever reason, I don't know why, there becomes like a freaking more stronger strand, like a Delta strand, and this becomes like the second big lockdown. And during this lockdown, we're going to have one big pump on YouTube, one big pump on crypto, one big pump on stocks, more printing of money before like things get really, really rough. This might be the last pump, and if that's the case, I'm going to go hard in this lockdown if it's going to be like a multi-month lockdown. But, you know, I'm optimistic. Hopefully it's just like a small mini lockdown and that's not going to happen. It's crazy, toilet paper getting sold out again. Well, why do people want toilet paper?
It's the stupidest thing. They're just stocking up on it because they probably go through so much in it. Like, how much toilet paper does one use or need that they have to stock up and stockpile that much? Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, people need to like literally freaking relax. But you're 100% right. So don't know how long it's going to go for.
There's this TV show, and apparently I was listening it through Logan Paul. It was talking about how they did a survey on how people wipe their asses. And apparently it was really, really crazy. Like, some people freaking just like get a big bunch and like wipe the ass. Some people like do like a roll around their hand. Some people like sort of use the rectangles and fold it and like fold it again. And like there's like so many different ways people wipe their asses, and that's something you just wouldn't have never thought about.
So weird as to how people would have thought, like, started doing it. But okay, here's a question: are you a folder or are you a scruncher?
I'm a folder.
100%. You have to be a folder.
Yeah.
There's no way. Scrunching is just disgusting.
Yeah.
It is filthy. I can Nah. Anyway, we're going to move on from this.
Yeah.
Talk about this for too long. But yeah, what else has been new? What else is happening? There's a few different things that happened. We saw FaZe Clan eject.
Yes. I just saw that this morning. I was watching this whole like CoffeeZilla exposing them. I was like, whoa. Like,
yeah, so go into
dumping.
I haven't seen the video, so you can go into depth onto it.
So apparently, they had this coin called Save the Kid coin. Save the Kids. Apparently, like, if you buy it, you somehow donate to charity at the same time, and it's going to be worth a lot. And they have this rule where whales can't dump it. Like, you can't sell after. You have to wait 24 hours before you sell. And you can't sell more than 1% of your portfolio or something. And then they freaking launch it, the price goes all the way through the roof, and literally an hour later it just dumps. Like, the price went up like 10x and it went down freaking negative like 5. And yeah, that was a controversy, how like it was just like really, like it was just an evident one. It wasn't like a slow burn where it just slowly went big. It was just like up in 1 hour and dumped.
Insane. Because I'm having a look at it now. Yeah, 10th of June just went up, traded around high of like 44 cents. No, not even 44 cents, 0.044. And then went all the way down to 0.001. That's insane. So then what the organizers or the founders of the coin, we have Tico, so FaZe K, Tico, and Jarvis and Niken. Okay, so Jarvis is the one that was in the boxing match recently, so he knocked out that TikToker. So Jarvis is suspended. K has been removed. So they removed FaZe K completely, suspended Jarvis, Niken, and Tico. That's crazy because like FaZe K, I haven't watched many of his videos, but he's just like a vlogger. I don't know what FaZe even do anymore. Do you know what FaZe even do? I don't know a single thing what FaZe do. I know they used to be gamers and everything, but I know that FaZe K they had that huge clout house. They vlog all the time. And apparently we heard from one of our mates that the profit that they made was literally little to nothing. Like they're YouTubers, right? They make a lot of money. And
it was like 20, 30 grand.
Nothing. That's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like to get kicked out of FaZe, like their whole lives are, because I don't know if you remember Jarvis, like I think more than a year ago now, he got banned from Fortnite. Fortnite banned him permanently, and he was making a living off Fortnite. So then he tried to reinvent himself and do everything, and then he went into maybe Warzone, he did this boxing match, and now he's been removed from FaZe. Like that's just like, what are you doing? Like you're just ruining your livelihood. I don't know. Hey, I don't know even what FaZe do anymore. But yeah, that's stupid. So stupid.
The next topic I wanted to get into is like people are not as rich and wealthy as you think they are. Because like you're right, it was like 30 grand. Why would you even do a pump and dump? And like friggin', it's a pump and dump. Like that has a negative connotation to it. Yes, it's not technically illegal, but it's a bit iffy, and it's not worth friggin' 30 grand. Like we saw those videos I watched, literally he would buy and he sold it like literally an hour later. So it's like a really short time frame, and he sold his whole portfolio, FaZe K. But like I was watching, like there was this interview, Jeffree Star coming back into YouTube, interview with Dave Portnoy, and he was talking about how he used to like fake it till it make it. Like in 2014, he had $500 in his bank account. He was like broke. And he would do makeup for all these celebrities. He would go in their wardrobe, wear their cool Chanel, Gucci, Louis Vuitton things, and take photos as if it's his. And like I think it makes sense. Like I could see why FaZe K is doing something like that for 30K. Like 30K for us is like quite a lot of money. Like if we can make 30K in a few hours, or even like over a week planning, and it was like super simple, we'd probably do it. Obviously we wouldn't do something illegal. It's just like me sort of like it was like a year ago I got offered to do like this sponsored video for like a competing video editing company called Viral Ecom Ads, where they'll make viral videos for e-commerce stores, and it was 400 USD. It was just like a simple video, here's 400 USD, and we can use your face and we can use your content. If it wasn't for that, it was like, that's like an easy $400. Whereas like when people see the Instagram, they see the traveling, they see the cool cars, they're like, dude, you don't need $400, like, you know. But like it's like, oh, that's an easy opportunity, I'll take it.
It's interesting, because it's like $400 for me. It's like 400 USD. Bear in mind that's like 790 whatever AUD, right? So it's like close to a bag. Close to a bag, right? Close to a bag for you to show your face on a viral e-commerce video editing software or whatever. But the thing is, the connotations against that are like, oh, this guy's just chasing the bag. Except, yeah, you're 100% right. You're just chasing the bag for no reason. And there's no point. What's the point? You just like putting your face against a competitor's product when you like selling something that's very similar, and you're not selling something, but like offering something very similar in itself. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think a lot of people just don't realize that a lot of YouTubers probably don't make as much money as they think. Only the ones that like do have gone clear. What's his name? David Dobrik, before that thing happened, he lost like half his sponsors. David Dobrik's, your Logan Paul's, even as much as everyone hates him, Jake Paul's gone clear now. Like he makes millions. Each fight that he makes and signs to is just ridiculous, right? those are the ones that like the ones that you see like Rice Gum. Bro, how much do you think Rice Gum makes? Rice Gum's is a bum, bro. He's a bum. He's a dud. Probably he used to make a lot. I think he used to when he was diss track season, but yeah, definitely not what it seems like. Definitely not what it seems. I mean, you're telling it firsthand. 400 is like nothing compared to what you want to achieve anyway.
Exactly, and it's like, I think I was like, I was hanging with my friend Reese, and it was all about like, it's like social media is a facade. Like people see the front end, they see the G-Wagon, they see the watches, they see me traveling, but like they wouldn't expect I live in sort of my mum's, not like, it's like a 2-bedroom sort of studio. It's like at a granny flat, it's like at the back of my mum's house, and like I vlog in here. If you watch my YouTube vlogs, like I'm not like hiding it. But like if I wanted to, I can, I guess, like move to Bondi and get like a nice apartment and pay like $500 per month in rent. Or maybe it'll be probably more expensive.
A lot more.
Yeah, probably like a lot more, like $1,000 a week in rent. But like, I don't know, like I'm pretty cautious with my money. Like I'm pretty cautious with what I spend. I make sure when I do spend things, I get a huge ROI. To spend $50,000 a year living in like Bondi, it has to have a huge extra ROI than spending, say, I don't know, 1/5 the cost living where I'm currently living. So I am money conscious, but it's crazy that social media does put this perceived value. And I had this interesting chat with a student. He was like, dude, when you posted the Rolex, the Yachtmaster, the car, like it was motivating to him because it showed what's possible. It showed that, hey, like I'm actually living the dream that they want to achieve. And when I was just really low key, wasn't posting or being really humble, they thought I was just a scammer.
It works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it works both ways.
it's ironic.
It's one of those things. Yeah, it's ironic where you're not posting it because you're like, oh, I don't want to flaunt it or anything. But yeah, like a few people have come up to me and be like, is he a scammer? I'm like, no, he's not a scammer, because they see the ads and everything, right? Like it's targeted. They see the ads, they see the TikTok. I'm like, no, he's not. He's like, oh, it seems it. I'm like, nah, just check out the Insta, and they see the post. Like, okay, it's like from like initially when I thought, like when I saw you buy the G-Wagon, and I'll be honest, when I saw you buy the G-Wagon, I'm like, what the f- is this guy doing? And then when I saw you buy the Rolex, I'm like, okay, like Rolex is a Rolex. I want a Rolex. Everyone wants a Rolex, you know what I mean? But it makes sense. Like when I broke it down layer by layer, it made sense. Sometimes these things need to be done to the bigger picture, for the bigger brand, for the bigger personal brand. And you like you said, it's working. Look at that. They thought you were a scammer. Now they're like, oh, this guy's got a Rolex. This guy's got a G-Wagon. He's got his shit together. Like he's got money. He's got different bread. You know what I mean? So it's like, it works out.
Yeah, it's a weird world like that.
It's definitely not something that everyone should just look at people's Instagram and just think, oh, take it at face value. Because from everything you said, fiscal responsibility. Not many people are fiscally responsible coming out of high school, especially in today's day and age. They come out, they have these idols they look towards, and they think that's the norm. So, when they move out of home, have like a low paying job, instead of saving/investing the money for their future, they go and buy a designer bag, wallet, purse, etc. They don't have that, fiscal responsibility. They're not money conscious, money wise, etc. Do you think that it should be taught in schools now, like with the interaction that we have on social media? Like,
so I think you're supposed, you should be taught fiscal responsibilities. I don't think you should be taught to buy cool and nice things and flex. I definitely don't believe in that. I don't know, like, even though, like, I feel like buying all those cool things was for the brand. That was like an extra bonus. Like, I've always wanted a G-Wagon. I've always wanted a Rolex.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you've always wanted the G-Wagon. So that's like it's different.
But then I've always been the type of person that was like, I want to be humble. I want to be down to earth. I don't want to flex. I don't want to freaking put things in people's face because, that's sort of what I look up to. Like the Bill Gates, where They're just like really just like plain t-shirts and baggy pants and like loose ass blazer. Nothing's like custom made. It looks like they just got out of bed. But they went through the phase of nice watches and Ferraris. Like Bill Gates had a Ferrari. Elon Musk bought a McLaren. They had all these. They've had Rolexes. But they're just like really low key about it, and now they're just like about private jets and yachts, and they don't share it. But yeah, I think it should be taught to kids to not strive to feed all these like brands,
like egotistical aims, in the sense that, you know, chasing the dollar, chasing the bag. Because the minute that people go and buy these things, I'm not even going to sit here and pretend like I don't. I have certain things which are, you know, celebratory purchases, in that sense that they are expensive items, but I do so consciously understanding my current financial position, the future, etc. I don't just go and just purchase it impulsively because that's stupid, right? So I'll always make sure that A, I understand what I'm doing, and B, like, I don't think many people out there know that, but like, I see people younger than me on Instagram and they'll like flex all this stuff they have, and I'm like, how do they afford that? Because it took me a long time to afford these certain things. And I'm like, obviously not you, but like people in the younger grades, and they, you know, those, well, we'll stereotype a little bit here, but they call LGs, LBs, the ABGs, whatever, right? They have all these things, and I'm like, how, like, that's a lot of money. Like, dude, how much do you work? Because I'm sitting here working full time, and I think only until you work, you understand the true value of money. I'm sitting here working full time, and I'm like, these guys aren't entrepreneurs. They probably have a lower job than me, probably work casually. I'm like, what do you do? Like, where does the money go? You just sit down and wonder, right? But yeah, it's one of those things. You can't do anything about it. You just sit and observe. I like observing.
So I was studying this guy named Bernard Arnault. He's low-key freaking like the second richest person in the world. He like bounces between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and not many people know about it. He's the founder, he's the CEO of LVMT, which has Louis Vuitton, that brand, like Hermes, Hennessy, all these like expensive brands, Tiffany and Co. And he was just buying up these high-end companies because he could see that the middle class was getting more wealthy. There was more middle class, people were becoming more wealthy, and that this is where the money was going to be poured into. And crazily, freaking now you're talking about young kids buying Louis Vuitton. Freaking young kids that are like 19, 18, 20. They're buying Louis Vuitton, and that's why he's the freaking second world's richest person. He predicted that people are just becoming more wealthy, but at the same time, to answer your question, dude, these kids, they're putting like 100% of their net worth into their Louis Vuitton. So you go to their Instagram, you see they have a Louis Vuitton bum bag and a Gucci cap. So you know their net worth is 5,000 plus 500. All right, that person's worth 5,500. Cool. I know his net worth. And then you think about how long it would have taken him to acquire that. You search him up on LinkedIn, you find his job, what's his title? Okay, is he casual? Is he part-time? Okay, that would have taken him maybe months and months and months, or maybe a year to afford. And that guy's just spend it all in. Like, I get it's an investment if you are one of those. Like, for me, I have a few pieces which I have considered them as investments because I'm never going to buy another one again. And they're just small goods, right? That I know that, but like these guys have it as like, yeah, fine, it's a fashion accessory, but like, it's hard to explain. Like, they don't view it. I don't know. I view it a little bit differently in the sense that, oh God, it's hard to explain. But yeah, it just blows my mind. But you're right. Like, the middle class is growing. Each decade, each whatever, the middle class grows. 9-year-olds have iPhones. Technology is becoming more and more accessible, affordable. When we were 9 years old, to have a smartphone was like, what was a smartphone, right? But then, you know, going into like first year of high school, I still had my big brick phone all throughout 7, 8, 9, 10. But nowadays it's completely different. So the middle class is growing. Do you reckon the lower class is like growing as well? I reckon they could be, honestly. It's very easy to fall behind in today's society. I think we were really fortunate to be in Australia, where like, dude, like America is like getting like ugly. Like cities like LA, San Francisco, there's freaking naked people at every corner, like literally naked. And like these are real stories. Like my friend Reese, who was like in America, he saw that. Logan Paul was talking about that in a recent podcast. And like America is just becoming like this, like, and then in UK the crime rates are like really high. But here in Australia, it feels like we are flourishing. And it feels like the lower class people, the Centrelink, the government paychecks are sort of like allowing them to live without having to work. And we are flourishing and we are making money. It does feel like that way, I guess. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. You hit the nail on the head. People look at those other cities in the world and think, oh, LA, or Vegas, or Florida, whatever, Miami, right? But London, South London, is notorious for knife crime. And it's so bad because I didn't even know that was a thing until like when I was listening to interviews of like UK rappers, and because I follow a lot of the UK music scene, right? I listen to all these rappers and musicians talk, and they're like, "Oh, I'm from South London. Oh, it wasn't easy growing up." I'm like, "You grew up in London?
Yeah, it's London.
What do you mean it wasn't easy growing up?"
Yeah.
And then I realized like London is split into different sectors. There's North London, South, East, West, right? So South London is very notoriously known for knife crime. And they have what they call ends, which is the ghetto, I'm assuming, the ghetto-ish, so like council housing, estates, etc., right? So I didn't realize that South London was full of council housing estates like that. And like there's generally places in like that area where you just step in and you're like, this doesn't feel like London. Because when you associate London, just big city, big name, big buildings, you think of finance, you think of businesses, you think of like posh people, especially you think of posh people. You think of the accent, you think of the Queen, you think of everything. But you don't think of South London, you don't think of there being like the highest rates of knife crime in probably the world or whatever, right? And it's a genuine problem. Like they rap about it like, oh, you know, the rappers try to like come together to find an initiative to try and stop it. And how do you stop it? How do you stop a problem like petty crime and all that where it's so common? Because I don't even know what motivates you, but you're 100% right. We are freaking blessed to live in a country like city like Sydney. You don't hear that shit coming out of Sydney. Yeah, Western Sydney is like notoriously known, but Western Sydney is not as bad as a lot of people think. When people like from the North Shore, Eastern Suburbs, whatever, think of Western Sydney, they associate it with all this, but it's not that bad. Yeah, there's shit that happens. It happens everywhere in the world, but like, yeah, I agree with you. We are blessed. I generally wouldn't want to live in America.
Dude, one thing I don't understand, it's weird how America and UK, it's really centralized around the city. But within the city, there's a lot of poverty, ironically. Like you can go to San Francisco and LA, and in the city, there's just poverty everywhere. But it's weird how Australia has worked in a way where if you're not wealthy, you get pushed further away from the city. And like the Sydney, it's sort of really nice, and it gets like less nice as you go out. And then eventually, if you stay in one spot, let's say I live in Western Sydney, Bankstown, this Bankstown's just getting nicer and nicer over time because people can't afford Bankstown, they get pushed out. And it's weird how urbanization, that's what I learned in high school, it doesn't really happen in these other countries.
Weird. It's like, why doesn't it happen? You know what I mean? Because you're 100% right. You go to LA, there's homeless people everywhere. We're on Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills. There are homeless people there as well. They're everywhere. And you're 100% right. They just get pushed out of the city.
Maybe it's government checks. Because now I'm thinking about it, with the same government check, you probably wouldn't be able to afford living in Sydney, but you could afford something all the way super far out, say in the Blue Mountains, and you can use the government check and then pay your rent. Whereas in America, you don't have government checks maybe, and as a result, if you want to live on the street and get like some money, you're going to have to stay in the city because that's the only place you're going to get some donations, because there's just like a lot of rich people, and if you move out, you have no money to, you'll die.
Well, I think you make a very good point that I didn't previously consider, because they have to. They don't really have a choice. They have to be located in that area where there's high dense population, people walking in and out. Like those people, even if they get like $5 a day, that's enough for them to go by. You know, they can get, there's obviously food shelters and whatever. People, they can go get free food, but like, I don't know, like I always feel bad giving money to like homeless people on the side of the street because you don't know what they're going to do with that money. And that's the worst part about it. Like if I personally, my thing is if I want to give money to a homeless person, I want them to use it for good.
Krishn, we should spend one day in the city or like some poor neighborhood, drop like $50 on just like a bunch of Subway long subs or like foot long subs, and like get like 10 and just like give it out. Like that's like one round of drinks, $50.
Yeah, I before COVID, I used to be a regular volunteer at Parramatta. There was a food, what do you call it? Parramatta Mission, they call it. It's like a food shelter. Once every 3 months, just go and buy like a bunch of like food items, like, you know, spaghetti in tins, pasta, things that they can like, you know, use for a long time, tomato in tins, and just go and just give it to them and they just use it. And then like a lot of bread and everything. But yeah, let's do it. I'm super down. Like I do that all the time. So yeah, I'm super down. But yeah, you're 100% right. Like even in America, healthcare is something we take for granted here. You don't get it there. You don't get anything there. Like that's why they have to say that. Like it's a wacky place to live, but it's one of those things where the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. And in those cities especially, yeah, I think Australia's handled it well, like the urbanization problem.
So the other day, Krishn, this was like last Monday. So I went to Bondi to visit an ENT. They like, because I have a deviated septum, like my nose is like my middle notch, like the center is like sideways. So one side is struggle breathing and the other side has more side to breathe, but then the sort of the meat, the balls, the things that the nostrils is just like really inflated, so it's hard to breathe on both ends. Went there, freaking, it was like 10 minutes. Freaking put up a camera in my nose, explain the situation. All right, you're ready to go. It was $400.
Just for a consultation?
Yeah. Luckily, my doctor, I told him about me getting this second opinion because he referred me to someone else, and luckily I was like, hey, I just wanted to check out this other person. I was like, oh, let me give you a referral, and that referral allowed me to claim back $180 through Medicare, but it was like $400 in total, $220 just for like 15 minutes. I was like, okay, that's crazy. But I was able to get like a second quote. In the reception, his name was David Lowinger, that's his name. And then there was like this book, and it was like Jody Lowinger. I was like, oh, who's this? And it was like anxiety, mindset, strength, etc. And I was like asking the reception lady, oh, what's this book about? And they're talking about how Jody is David's wife. She runs like a clinic, a sort of psychology clinic. She goes to different schools and companies, and she sort of teaches them mindset and coaching and training. I was like, oh, does she do any like consultation? I was like, I don't know, like I've always wanted to see a psychologist. Psychiatrist, what's the difference? What's high, psychiatrist or psychologist?
I'll be very honest, brother, I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, I was like, I've always wanted to talk to a psychologist to see what it is like. You know, you go to that nice office, you sit on the chair, and then they, I don't know, listen you out.
So it's like, so Andy, tell me about your problems. So what brought you here? So why did you want to talk? Yeah, like all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like okay, maybe they could like somehow read and see something I'm not seeing. And then she was like, oh, unfortunately, she doesn't take on any more clients. She sort of just does coaching, and she works with like, you know, directors and like high profile clients. But she was like, oh, well, what do you do? And I told her about my sort of consulting business, Studying.com. And she was like, do you want a free 15-minute session just to ask to hear about it? Booked in the 15-minute session. Tuesday the next day, got a call from her, and we ended up talking for like 15 to 30 minutes. And I was able to hear how she works with like startups, founders, directors. She used to work in like Macquarie Bank, and I don't know. And I was just thinking of like all these TV shows like Suits and Billions, how she was like a Donna, or like in Billions she's that girl. She's like this coach, and she freaking makes all these traders like freaking on point and sharp. And I was like, wow, that's sort of what she is. And she works with like billionaires apparently. I was like, okay, this is really cool. I want to like get the package. I think maybe my email didn't work or something. I couldn't kind of get the package, the prize package. It was like a 12-week package. I'm curious to see what it is. I think if it's like over 10,000, then I have to like think about it. But if it's like under 5,000, I think that's something like will sort of be like a no-brainer thought, just because like I've done a lot of things. If it's under 5,000, that's like really valuable. If it's like 7,000 plus, then it's probably worth its price. And if it's like 15,000 plus, then now you're just paying for like the experience and the prestige.
100%. And then it comes down to like, she works with high net worth profile clients. $10,000 to them is nothing. To her, it's a livelihood. So it could be like, obviously, just what I'm saying is don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if it is $10,000. But that's very interesting, because I think it could be good. Could unlock a few little nooks and crannies inside your brain and make you think a little bit differently and make you want to approach things a little bit differently. You know what I mean? Because I guess in your setting, mindset is everything, and you need to understand exactly what's but it's interesting. So what do you think? You're gonna go ahead with it?
So it felt weird. Like at first, my first reaction was like, this is like a therapist. This is something that like sick people go to. If you're depressed, you go to a therapist. That's how it felt like. Because like there's this weird connotation to it. Obviously, she's like more of like a coach and more of like a, I don't know, mindset coach. But yeah, I'm going to send her a text, but like, hey, I didn't receive that email yet. Could you send me the details? And I definitely want to do like a whole YouTube series about it. If I do, I'll like document the process. But like literally one unlock is worth like, you can make literally $100,000 just off one unlock. Or you'll be way more happy, and that makes 100,000.
100%. But then the thing is, how you said you want to make a YouTube series and document it. It is also her livelihood. It is also the way she makes money. So if you don't tell her and you do it, could get away with it. But if you tell her, hey, look, I'm looking to film it, would that be okay? She might say, you can just like, just bring the camera and be like, oh, I'm going to a therapy session, and then like talk about it a little bit. But like,
so I wouldn't probably bring the camera into the sessions. I'd probably like sit in the car, give my thoughts and then afterthoughts. But you're right. And if I do, I'll definitely let her know, be like, hey, I do have a vlog. I'm just, I record my sort of growth and progress. And I'll be sort of sharing with the audience this journey. So I'll definitely be transparent. But this is something that like, until I see what the package is like, then I'll sort of think about it. But yeah, it's something that's never crossed my mind.
You need a breakdown. A breakdown of what the package includes, entails, etc. And then this is so weird. How did this come about from getting an consultation?
Yeah. It's weird how life works like that.
Yeah, in ways that you just don't expect it. And then you could very much, because the thing is, what could be interesting is because she's worked with all these high profile net worth people. So she's got experience in like dealing with those people. So that could be good. Obviously she won't be able, client privilege. What's the word? Not client privilege. It's client confidentiality. All right. So she can't obviously go into depth about, specific people's problems, but she can be like, I've dealt with a client who had similar problems. And what they did was this. And like, that could, just to you, just be a lot. But then it also comes down to, okay, yeah, but I'm paying for someone else to tell me that when I can just work hard and try and do it myself. But, it's an experience and you won't know until you go through the experience. So like just playing devil's advocate, just playing devil's advocate.
So another thing, I was listening to this guy named David Choe, big fan, this Korean sort of artist, and he became like a millionaire because he did a mural painting for Facebook, like in like 2000, like early 2000s. He was given a choice, either pay 60 grand in cash or 60 grand in stock options. He knew if he took the cash, he would have went gambling, so he took the stock options, even though he thought this was just a copycat of MySpace and was going to die anyways. Took the stock option, Facebook IPO'd a few years later, and he became worth 200 million. David Choe. So David Choe has a lot of like mental issues, of like unhappy, addictions, loneliness, depression, anger. And he's been to thousands and thousands of hours of therapy. And in the end, it just becomes the same. They sort of just ask you questions, you share what you're thinking, and it just all becomes the same. Yet he's still, after all that, he would still not be fully happy. And I could see, I was like able to relate to that. Like, you're sort of chasing this. Like, for example, Monday, Tuesday, I had so much sleep. I woke up, was so productive, got so much work done. I felt so happy, so fulfilled. I was thriving. So I know how it feels like to be my peak. No alcohol consumption, no like weed, no smoking, no nothing. And I was like at peak performance. I felt so good. No drugs, no nothing. It was just natural high. And I've been at my peak where I've been like so wide awake, having 11 hours of sleep, where me just normally having 8 hours of sleep becomes like this low. And that was a recent light bulb moment. Like I'm always chasing this feeling of productivity, like super getting everything done. My brain is switched on. I feel like I'm in that movie Limitless with that drug where I'm just able to do so many things at once. Where I'm always chasing that because I'm like, I didn't take any drugs, but I felt like that. But like that has set such a high bar where like little hangovers feel shit. And it's like, that's something I only realized recently.
I mean, lockdown will essentially boost this. It'll just give you more opportunity to become a beast. You know what I mean? Like, you have all the opportunity now. You have an opportunity to like set that routine to yourself. And then obviously when it finishes, go outside, go do your normal things. But if you're getting 11 hours of sleep, you're probably sleeping and you got to be sleeping at like 9 p.m. waking up at like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
God damn it. I could never. Well, especially now, like my sleep schedule's out the window, so I generally don't have any clue. I'm waking up at like midday. But yeah, like that's interesting. Like it's good to hear. It's good to hear. So like, is this a new norm? 11 hours of sleep every day, or can you maintain it? I could never.
I couldn't. After Monday, Tuesday, I just went into a slump. Well, I was still having like 8 hours, 7.5 hours of sleep, but it was just I wasn't productive during those days. Either one, I just overworked. Monday, Tuesday, I just went way too hard. I just crashed for the rest of the week. Obviously, I did the bare minimum and then sort of got things, caught up on things, did 1 or 2 hours each day. But I need to take it down to a baseline. So one, I'm trying to get back to reading at night, not go on my phone on my bed.
Yeah.
And 2, not get from trying to knock out 6 things a day, bring it back down to 5. I want it more consistently. And thirdly, really embracing the downs. Embrace the feeling of being numb or feeling of not being fully motivated, and really embracing and learning to work with it rather than being like, why do I feel this way?
Yeah, rather than fighting it. Because if you fight it, you're just going to bring yourself down a little bit more and you're just going to like feel more shit and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, 100% embrace it, go with it, just do it, as opposed to just, because yeah, like you can't maintain 11 hours of sleep every day. You'll burn out. You'll 100% burn out. It's near to impossible. But yeah, like I could never do that. I could never strive to get 11 hours of sleep or do that. But like, it's good, I mean, alcohol consumption during lockdown is pretty much nothing. No one will be, unless you're an alcoholic. Well, there's nothing saying that you can't enjoy like a good small beverage to yourself. But in saying that, I won't be consuming alcohol either during this period. So I know what you mean. Like you've gotten to a point where you've hit like, even if you go out and have like one drink to yourself, it'll like be a lot more. And like you would know that you're just going to feel gluggy and crap the next morning. So see how long you can last on the no alcohol train.
Yeah, I definitely want to give that a try. Like another thing is, dude, I have friends that a lot. Now this is a different, right, we'll see if we'll keep it in. But they a lot where it's like daily and multiple times a day, and like that's just normal to them. Now, I've noticed like if I do that, like I'm just gonna be like, I'm just like, what is life? Not what is life, but I'll just be really mellow and really like, just like not too motivated or the energy's out. But that's their norm. Like that's their norm and they're used to. Whereas me, since I don't do it, my norm is like up here. And when I am in a state of like just zen and not wanting to do much, it's like a sort of like negative for me. And I need to bring my sort of expectations and sort of bar down and be able to work with, you know, freaking 6 hours of sleep. Like I need to, like I did it before when I was young. 6 hours of sleep to school, wake up early to freaking join the early 4-unit maths class, freaking wake up at 5:30, take the bus at 6:30, and I used to have small amount of sleep and I used to perform fine. And strangely, I can't anymore. And I think I've just gotten used to the luxury of just getting a lot of sleep and feeling really productive and clear-minded.
Like I'll relate it to like as you get older, you can't operate the same way as you did when you were younger. You have so much energy, so many like hormones bouncing off everywhere. Like you're young, you're like full of life and everything, right? I remember when I was young, like playing soccer every year for like 7 to 10 years, I think. And like training twice a week, playing at school at lunchtime every single day. To the point where now, today, I went to go have a kick around with my friends. And it was like the first kick around in a long time. I'm sore all over. My hamstrings are gone. I obviously my technique and stuff is like the same. Like I'm not the best, but it's like I'm a defender. It is what it is, right? But like the pressure on my legs when I was kicking that ball with the power, I'm like, God damn it! Like you have to, it's something that you just have to train every single day, and then you can become the norm. But if you get used to not doing it for a while, you get older, it's harder for you to adapt, etc. It's one of those things. Yeah, like I can't do the same thing. I can't wake up at like I can't think of going to school anymore. Like obviously full-time work feels like school, but it's more stimulating in the sense that there's no set structure, etc. But like, I can't see myself waking up at like that, go to school. I mean, that's what everyone said when they were into uni. Remember, like when you first started uni, like how was I going to school? I can just pick my classes all on one day or whatever, and just muck around for the other days. But like, it's not the same. It's not the same. You grow up, your body is different. You grow older. It's hard to maintain.
Dude, you know what's one thing the psychologist said when I was like talking about like my ups and downs, and sometimes I'm not too motivated. One thing she said was like, you know, we're gonna have to like diagnose to see if you do get exhausted or require more sleep. Is it due to the sort of really demanding workload, or is it because you have bipolar issues? And when she said that, I was like, bipolar, like that's something that's never ever crossed my mind. It's just scary to think about. But yeah.
that word is like has negative connotations, but really it's not as bad as a lot of people would think. Obviously there are some extreme cases, but I mean the essence of it just means like some days you're up, some days you're down. Like it is what it is.
Quick question.
Maybe you can pay people.
Good question. Let's say we catch up and you're like, you know, hey Andy, how you been? What response do you prefer? So response 1, yeah, been pretty good. How about you? Versus, yeah, slow week. Things are like certain issues, like just dealing with a bunch of stuff. But other than that, not much to complain. How you been?
Depends on how close I am with the person. If it's a friend that I just, you know what I mean? Like they're just there. Like, just give it to me straight. Yeah, good. How you been? Yeah, good. So, yeah. I prefer the second from like yourself or people that I'm closer with. What's the point otherwise? What's the point in being mates? What's the point in just like being able to be open and honest about stuff? Like, I'm not saying, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go through all that crap with other people that I'm not. Like, there's certain people who I'll be like, tell me, like, what's going on? Talk to me. Like, what's happening? Why is that so? Otherwise, I'm just like, sweet. Nice.
Yeah,
it's the truth. And you know it as well. Yeah.
Because I know that if everyone just says I'm good, it's like this sort of like barrier. It's like this thing where like they're not one. When you if you're able to admit things are not that good or things are slow, one, it shows that you have humility. Two, you're sort of bonding and connecting with that person. But whereas if you just say I'm good, it's just like that's what everyone says. There's just like a weird wall barrier there.
Yeah.
Next question. Saying, yeah, man, I'm pretty good, versus, man, I'm awesome, I'm great, how you been? Which one? It's tough because the second one is positive, it maybe sends positive energy your way, but at the same time, it might come off as cocky.
I'd honestly prefer like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good, pretty good week. I've been feeling good. Yeah, it's been a good week or something like that, as opposed to like, you know what I mean, like exerting it onto you, because if you're in a position where you don't know what the other person's feeling going through, you're right, it is self-absorbed. It is a little bit like, not self-absorbed, but it is like you're not being conscious of the other person and if they're your mate, you know what I mean? So like I wouldn't want to exert too much, but if they've had a good day, then 100% I'll double down and be like, say, man, it's been a good week, you know, feeling good, you know, back in a few weeks ago when I, you know, everything was looking up for me, you know, everything was working out. I'd be like, yeah, bro, been feeling good. It's been a good 2 weeks, you know what I mean? It's been good. What about you?
Because I watched this video, it was like, what does everyone say when you ask them how they've been?
Yeah.
I've been good, I've been okay. And if you keep saying that, it's sort of this self-fulfilling prophecy where you sort of become what you say. But imagine if every time someone asks you like, I feel amazing, I feel great, maybe that does, you actually become, you sort of become amazing and become great. But it does come off as a bit, you might like really rub some shoulders a bit like wrongly. And I was like
at the end,
it makes sense, but I don't want to rub people wrongly.
yeah, because at the end of the day, like even though if you think, you know, you're doing good and everything, like some people can take it the wrong way and like wouldn't appreciate it, etc. They just think of it like, what the hell? But like, you know, everyone thinks differently and you can't expect everyone to be on the same wavelength and understand. Whereas like, you know, like I met someone today where I haven't seen them in a very long time and they asked me, how you been? I'm like, yeah, man, been good, you know, the same old, just working, just tired, like it is what it is. I'm as you're speaking now, I'm literally thinking about that conversation. And he was a really, really close friend of mine before. But you know, time, it happens, right? Just goes apart like naturally. But yeah, like
and then there's the other approach, the 48 laws of power approach. Fucking just downplay everything, keep your success a secret. If things are going great and amazing and you made $1 million, yeah, things are going all right.
Yeah, I need to. Like my biggest problem is oversharing, and I want to like become better at, you know, keeping your cards close to your chest and becoming like a mystery. Like you have a veil around you, and everyone's like, "What is he doing?" I want to achieve that. That's the one thing. Not one thing. There are a few things in 48 Laws of Power which are interesting, but that's one of the few things that were very interesting to me. It's a crackhead of a book. I'm going to say it for the 30th time. It's a wacky book, but I agree with that.
And the best way to do like make that happen is, dude, if you like just post traveling photos, you have nothing to like flex. People don't give a fuck about you. It's weird. Like literally, like I don't know, like when I had nothing. Well, when I had my car, I had the Mercedes, I had the CLA 200, but I just didn't post it much. People would not like. There's no mystery. But when you have all these cool things, like let's say Krishn, at the end of the year you buy this nice watch and you post it and you do like this post on how like you've worked so hard for it, but you don't tell people what you do, what's your job, what your income is. People are gonna be like, who's this Krishn? Like, how do you get that watch? So you need like this catalyst to like, and it's so unhealthy though. It ends up being this never-ending chase. But yeah.
And like just like that, we've linked ourselves back to the start of the episode where we were talking about social media, etc. But yeah, you're 100% right. Like it's one thing that people just don't know. Like the veil is there. Even you still have the veil there, slowly lowering it, but keep it up, keep it firmly up. When someone asks you, so what about the business? Oh yeah, the business is going well. Yeah, sweet, pretty decent. You know what I mean? Like that's my personal opinion because
that's how I usually answer.
Because the more people you let in and like the more chatter happens, and chatting is the worst. But I think we've hit a good spot.
I think so too. Solid episode. Really appreciate everyone from listening. Thank you so much for all the support on both the YouTube channel. If you're listening, watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for supporting us. If you're listening this on podcast, really appreciate you guys listening. Really appreciate the support. We see those small cult following that are listening to every one of our episodes. And I just want to say thank you. If you're watching us on TikTok, Krishn, we have dude, you know how the algorithm works? Even though we don't have followers, we have 150 people who just watch all our videos. The algorithm knows the 150 people that will watch our TikTok clips, and even though they might not follow, but they just watch it all.
Yeah, 150 is a lower average, and we know that because a few of my friends have been watching it, and shout out, look at that, there you go. I didn't expect that. I did not expect my friends, one of my closer friends, good friends of mine. Well, I told you already, but he showed me. I'm like, yeah, there you go. Yeah, please watch us on TikTok. We enjoy it. It's good clips. Actually decent, good clips. Good clips are posted on TikTok. Go watch it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and peace.